Honey, buckle up, because when Ellen Degeneres walked into that courtroom on day 21 of Diddy's explosive trial, the entire room went dead silent. You could feel the tension wrap around everyone's neck like a velvet rope. The moment those massive oak doors creaked open, reporters leaned in like it was the Oscars. Lawyers exchanged looks that said, "Oh, this is gonna be big." And the jury, they straightened up like the final exam just got handed out. Ellen, in her signature tailored suit and that iconic, calm yet commanding walk, made her way to the stand like she wasn't just a talk show host. She was about to rewrite the whole script of this trial, and baby, she wasn't there for laughs. The prosecutor opened gently, as if handling a live wire. "Mrs. Degeneres, you've known Mr. Comsey's Shawjitty Comsey in both professional and personal capacities. Can you confirm your visit to his mansion was strictly for work?" Ellen nodded slowly. "Yes, I was under the impression we were brainstorming a charity telephone idea." Just that. But what started as a late-night creative meeting turned dark real fast. He described arriving just past midnight, sneaking in through a side entrance to keep it low-key, and sure, the mansion sparkled, laughter echoed through those mahogany hallways, and chandeliers shimmered like diamonds. But as the night stretched on, Ellen said something shifted. Diddy's warm energy, it cooled. Confidential folders started appearing, subtle glances were exchanged, and Ellen's gut told her this wasn't your average charity chat. Cut to the library, the heart of the drama. Diddy closed the door behind them and lowered his voice. Then he handed her a sealed envelope labeled confidential. What was inside? A chilling memo. Names, contacts, outlines. People Ellen recognized. It was a list, and not a good one. "I asked him," Ellen testified, "is this normal PR strategy? Because it's starting to feel like blackmail." Boom! Mic drop moment. Diddy, she said, looked at her like a man teetering between begging and threatening. "He asked me to trust him, to keep it between us." Her voice didn't waver. The entire courtroom held its breath. The prosecutor kept digging. "Ms. Degeneres, after reading that memo, what did you do?" Ellen sighed. "I asked Diddy, if this was his usual process. He said it was a last resort to protect his interests." She turned to the jury. "I told him I couldn't be part of any plan that involved using people as leverage against law enforcement or potential witnesses." Then the prosecutor dropped another bomb, Ellen's email. Draft, sent at 1:45 a.m. to her assistant. Ellen confirmed it instantly. "I didn't send it right away because I didn't want to tip anyone off. But I wrote, something feels off. This isn't just charity work. Keep this between us for now." "Oh, but it doesn't stop there," the prosecutor pressed. "Did you get a reply?" "No," Ellen said. "Not until I followed up around dawn. That's when I got a text. Just 5 words. Trust me, everything is fine." That's when I knew I had to speak up. But honey, here comes the twist. The defense attorney stood trying to flip the narrative. "Mrs. Degeneres, haven't you had creative tensions with Mr. Combs before? Could this be personal?" Ellen's reply was sharp. "Creative differences are common in entertainment, but this was dangerous. I didn't come here to settle scores. I came here to tell the truth." Then they tried that tired old tactic, showing a screenshot of Ellen praising Diddy's charity work. "Didn't you once say he was a man of integrity?" Ellen's eyes didn't flinch. "Supporting a cause doesn't mean I support illegal tactics. I still believe in his mission, but I won't stand by wrongdoing just because it's cloaked in philanthropy." And then came the gasp heard round the courthouse. A court officer entered with a tablet. On the screen, security footage from Diddy's mansion. A still image froze on Ellen, memo in hand, mid-discussion with Diddy. The proof was undeniable. The gallery gasped. The judge slammed his gavel. This wasn't just a he said, she said anymore. And Ellen, she didn't even blink, so there it was. Ellen, on video, memo in hand, caught mid-whisper with Diddy. The jury looked like they'd been slapped. The air shifted. This wasn't rumor anymore. This was receipts. As the footage froze on screen, the prosecutor's face lit up like Christmas morning. The judge banged his gavel, calling the courtroom to order. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. You could feel the ground under Diddy's defense team shaking. And Ellen? She stayed still, composed, but her eyes full of steel. Then came the next move, the server logs. A clerk scurried forward with a document, a time-stamped digital trail from inside Diddy's own system. The prosecutor held it high like a dagger. "Your Honor," he said, "this log shows that the confidential memo was accessed and deleted at exactly 3:22 a.m. from Mr. Combs' personal device." Boom! The room collectively gasped again. The defense lawyer practically jumped out of his seat. Objection, hearsay, relevance. But the judge? He wasn't having it. He ruled the server log admissible. Why? Because Ellen had testified under oath that she feared the memo would disappear. Guess what? It almost did. The prosecutor turned back to Ellen. Ms. Degeneres, what did you do when you feared the memo might be erased? Without flinching, she said, I locked my phone in a briefcase. Then at 3:35 a.m., I emailed a copy of that memo to my attorney. I had to make sure it survived. And just like that, he produced a printout of the email, timestamped exactly 3:35 a.m., just 13 minutes after the mysterious deletion on Diddy's server. The tension in the room was thick. The defense was spiraling now. Speculation, he cried. That deletion could have been routine, part of a system sweep. He turned to the jury. Let's be clear, he said slowly, each word slicing through the silence like a blade. We've got secret memo. We've got digital deletions. We've got private calls. And now we've got a direct command to destroy evidence. Spoken by the defendant, confirmed by the witness, backed by server logs and time-stamped emails. He scanned their faces. This is not gossip. This is not assumption. This is a chain of evidence that speaks louder than any spin. Every juror was locked in, and at the center of it, the prosecutor continued, is one man, Mr. Courtroom, with power, with influence, and with motive. He didn't need to say anything else. He sat down slowly. The silence afterward, thunderous. The defense lawyer? Oh, he tried. He stood up, pacing like a man grasping at straws. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, voice a little too smooth. You've seen a show, you've heard drama, but drama doesn't equal guilt. He pointed to the server logs. Can anyone here confirm that Mr. Combs himself deleted those files? No. You saw an IP address. That could have been anyone. Then to Ellen, she waited until she was subpoenaed to bring this all forward. If she was truly concerned, why not act immediately? He gestured broadly. This is a stage, this is performance, but it's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. He gave it his all, but the room, cold. Everyone could tell the tide had turned. The judge stood now, voice calm but firm. Members of the jury, you will now retire to deliver. Consider the evidence, weigh the facts. Your verdict must reflect the truth, and only the truth, based on what you have heard in this courtroom. The jury filed out, silent, solemn, but with expressions that said this decision might already be made. The courtroom began to empty slowly. Reporters bolted for the doors. Lawyers shuffled their files with hands that couldn't stop trembling. And Ellen? She rose one last time, her shoulders tall, her eyes forward. As she walked out, the cameras flickered like a swarm of bees. Reporters shouted, flashbulbs popped, but she didn't look left or right. Because the truth she dropped, it was still echoing off the walls inside. Just when it looked like Diddy's defense was dead in the water, his team tried to claw their way back. Enter Marisol Vega, the cool, calculated in-house legal counsel for Combs Entertainment. She walked to the stand with that practiced corporate confidence, legal pad in hand, jaw set, ready to clean up the mess. The defense attorney wasted no time. Ms. Vega, he asked, you reviewed the memo Ms. Degeneres testified about, is that correct? She nodded, flipping to her notes like she was reading from a manual. Yes, I received a memo on July 15th. It was marked high priority. I examined the contents to determine if any legal boundaries were crossed. And your findings? He asked smoothly. Marisol glanced at the jury. In my professional opinion, the document fell within permissible bounds of reputation management strategy. There was nothing explicitly illegal in the language or intent. No mention of witness tampering, no blackmail. A soft murmur trickled through the gallery. Was this the cleanup job they were waiting for? The defense pushed further. And did you give Mr. Combs any warnings? I advised him to stick to formal channels, document everything, no backdoor meetings. That was communicated clearly to his team. For a moment, just a moment, it felt like Diddy had a life raft. But then, the prosecutor stood up. Ms. Vega, he began, adjusting his glasses. You say the memo was above board, but did you investigate whether any off-record contact happened? Any unofficial outreach to people mentioned in that memo? Marisol hesitated. That pause was louder than a scream. I inquired with Mr. Garcia's office, she said carefully. Officially, no such contact was logged, but that doesn't account for private calls or emails I wasn't included on. Boom, the gallery rippled. The prosecutor leaned in. So you can't actually confirm that everything was above board? And I cannot, she said finally. My scope was limited to documented procedures. There it was, the ice was cracking. talking. The prosecutor didn't let up. Then how can you say no legal violation occurred when you admit you weren't privy to off-record communications? Marisol's mask slipped just a little. I can only speak to what I reviewed. The prosecutor turned back to the jury. Exactly, which means we have no guarantee that what Ellen described didn't happen. The jury scribbled furiously. The defense tried to recover. Isn't it true that in-house counsel can't monitor every private exchange? Yes, Marisol said. We rely on formal logs unless a discovery order is filed. And just like that, she stepped off the stand. The courtroom buzzed. People weren't buying the neatly wrapped legal talk. Not after that call from Diddy. Not after that deletion log. Not after Ellen's memo, the time-stamped email, the recordings. And then the prosecution came in swinging for the final blow. He approached Ellen again. Ms. Degeneres, one final question. After you sent the memo to your attorney, what happened next? Ellen looked out toward the gallery, voice calm but tight. I got a call from Sean. You could feel the courtroom hold its breath. He asked if I'd deleted the draft. He told me to wipe it. For our sake, he said. People were stunned silent. And did you? The prosecutor asked. Ellen shook her head. No. I told him it would be wrong. Then she looked the jury dead in the eyes. He said, nobody needs to see that. The room shattered into whispers. That wasn't damage control, that was desperation. You are now charged with deliberating the evidence presented in this courtroom. Consider only what you have seen and heard. Put aside celebrity, put aside opinion. Deliver a verdict based on the law and the truth. The bailiff opened the doors, the jury filed out. Silent, stoic, but visibly shaken. The rest of the room exhaled. Lawyers packed their notes. Reporters scrambled. Pundits whispered theories. And Ellen? She stood slowly, her face pale but her posture upright. As she exited the witness box, she gave one final nod to the judge. Cameras flashed outside the door. She didn't flinch. Ellen, what did Diddy say off camera? Do you feel safe? But she just kept walking, past the noise, past the chaos, because she knew what just happened inside that courtroom would echo far beyond that day. Behind those oak doors, a jury was deciding whether power and money could bury the truth, or whether one woman's voice, backed by evidence, conscience, and courage, would finally turn the tide.